Hi, this is Steve Hosher with RazorGage, and today I'm going to talk about some new features in the AutoList screen. We have now incorporated the parts list processor right into the AutoList, so you no longer need to have that on a separate PC if you don't want to. You can still use it in the office and use some of the utilities in the parts list processor, or you can just send a CSV file right out to the RazorGage and we can convert it at the machine. So what I'm going to do is show you how to set that up. So here I'm at the main screen of the RazorGage. I'm going to click AutoList, then I'm going to click Settings and Open PLP, and now I'm going to map the file. So initially, to get all this started, you have to do the mapping just like we had to on the parts list processor when it was a separate entity. So set the extension, the file extension as CSV in this case. For the example I'm going to do, it is a comma delimited, not a semicolon delimited. I am not going to skip the first line in this particular one, and I'm going to open the file. Let's see here. Okay, so I get the typical information message saying that the current cut list doesn't match my previous mapping. I'm just going to ignore that. So here we go. First column, the heading and the cut list is order. So I've got it as project. I'm going to go down here and change user field 1 to order. And then the next one is line. So what I'm doing here is creating some user fields that match the headings that are in this cut list. So I'm just going across here, item description, we'll use part, bill to, we're going to need that. And due date and priority. And component description. That looks to me like material type, so I'm going to use it, material type for that column. Pieces, I'm going to use quantity, and length, we're going to use length. I notice this customer has length in feet. That's a no-no, got to have length in inches, but I'm going to go ahead and map this anyway. So I've done all this. I'm going to, here are some user fields that were defined from a previous cut list. I'm just going to leave those in there. I won't be using them. They don't mean anything in this context. So, so I need to change this to item that already fell into place there. Material, I'm going to call this actually part. And I'm going to change this heading for part, what we call part description. I'm going to change it to item description so that it looks like what the customer wants to see. Bill to, due date. Priority. It's amazing how many of these fell right into place. Component. Oh, did I forget that one? Yeah, so I'm going to add component here. So what I'm doing is looking at the heading in the cut list and creating a heading that matches it where I need to in user fields, and then using the standard predefined fields where I need to. Component description. Now that looks like I said, that looks like material, so I'm going to call that material, and then I'll change the material heading down here from material to component description. And then pieces, that to me looks like what we would call quantity. And finally length. Of course, length, quantity, material, those are all predefined fields that are always there. And there we go. I'm going to save that mapping. I'm going to convert. Now I'm going to do the convert manually. So this is set to skip the first line, which I do want to do now because there are headings in this file. And I'm going to choose that. Now it's saying part name 1004N, etc. is a new part name. Would you like to output to the RazorGage? So I'm going to say yes to all these. Whenever it encounters a part name that it hasn't encountered before, it will ask you if you want it to be a valid part. And so now if I opened another cut list that had these same part descriptions, it would not ask me again. It would assume that I wanted to use those to be valid parts. Okay, so here we go. We've created it. I'm going to create the RazorGage file. So that's done. Okay. So I created that RDB file just to see if there were any errors, and there weren't. But now I'm back in the RazorGage software, so I'm going to go back to the AutoList screen. So now you'll see what's different. The parts list processor is accessible from the AutoList settings. That's different. But here's the real cool thing, is that if I had not created that RDB file, all I had was the CSV, I can just go in. Now that it's been mapped, I can just open this, and it converts it on the fly. And here is my RDB file. Now, if I were to look in that folder, in fact, if I click Open File, you'll notice that CSV file is gone, because when we convert it to an RDB file, we delete the CSV file. So that is a new feature in AutoList. I just wanted to have a little video that showed this really cool new feature. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, give us a call at Technical Services 515-232-3188, and check us out on RazorGage.com. Thanks a lot and have a good one.